After paying for the entire family vacation, I got a message from my own son that broke me. "You're not coming, Dad. Mom prefers only her family." I stood there frozen, my heart shattered. But what I did next, it taught them a lesson they'll never forget. I stared at my phone frozen. My hands trembled as I read the message again and again, hoping I was wrong. "You won't be joining us, Dad. Mom prefers to keep only her family on this trip." It was from my own son, Michael. My only child. The same boy I raised alone after his mother left years ago. I had paid for the entire family vacation. The flights, the hotel, everything. I had spent my savings just to make them happy. And now, I was being told I wasn't welcome? My chest felt tight. My heart pounded so hard I thought it might burst. I could hardly breathe as tears welled up in my eyes. For a moment, I didn't know whether to scream, cry, or laugh. Was this some cruel joke? I called him. No answer. I called again. Still nothing. Then a second message came in. "Please, Dad. Don't make it a big deal. It's just how Mom feels." At that moment, I dropped my phone. I felt like the world had ended. My knees gave out, and I sat on the cold floor shaking. The son I had given everything for had shut me out. After everything I had done, after every sacrifice, this was how they repaid me. But then something inside me changed. The pain turned into a strange calm. I wiped my tears and stood up. My heart still hurt, but my mind was suddenly clear. If they wanted to go on vacation without me, after I paid for it, then they were in for a surprise they'd never forget. And right there I made my decision. I froze the travel. It all started 3 months earlier when my son and his wife, Emily, came to visit. I was sitting on the porch drinking tea when Michael said, "Dad, we've been thinking, maybe it's time for a big family vacation." His words made me smile. For years, I had wanted to spend time with them. Especially with my 2 little grandkids, Lily and Sam. I loved those kids more than anything. Every weekend, they would call me Grandpa George and run into my arms when I visited. So when Michael mentioned a family trip, I was overjoyed. "Where are we thinking of going?" I asked, my eyes lighting up. "Florida," Emily said. "The beach, the sun, the theme parks. The kids will love it." I nodded. "That sounds wonderful. I'll help however I can." But when they told me the total cost, I nearly fell off my chair. It was almost $9,000. Flights, hotel, food, tickets, everything. Michael looked unsure. "Dad, I know it's a lot. We can split it, maybe." I didn't even let him finish. "Don't worry, son. I'll take care of it. You just bring the family. I'll handle the rest." Emily's eyes widened a bit, as if surprised. "Oh, that's really generous, Mr. Carter," she said, forcing a small smile. I noticed something in her tone, something that didn't sit right with me, but I ignored it. I was too happy to finally be part of a family moment. For the next few weeks, I worked extra shifts at the hardware store where I had been employed for almost 30 years. My back ached every night, but I didn't complain. Every hammer I lifted, every box I carried, I did it with a smile. I pictured Lily building sandcastles while I held her hat from the wind. I imagined Sam tugging at my arm to go see dolphins. Finally, after weeks of planning, I booked everything. I even upgraded their hotel suite, so the kids would have more space. When I sent Michael the receipts, he replied with just, "Thanks, Dad." That short message stung a bit. No excitement. No worms. But again I brushed it off. Maybe he was just busy. One Saturday afternoon, about a week before the trip, I decided to visit their home with small gifts for the kids. Little sun hats and floaties shaped like dolphins. But when I got there, something felt off. Emily opened the door, surprised to see me. "Oh, George." "Hey." "Michael's in the backyard." I walked in, hearing laughter coming from behind the house. I smiled, thinking the kids were playing. But when I reached the patio, my smile faded. There was Michael grilling burgers, with Emily's parents sitting comfortably, chatting away. "Dad," Michael said awkwardly. "Oh, we didn't know you were coming." I tried to stay cheerful. "Just stopped by to give the kids their vacation gifts." Emily's mother looked me up and down, then whispered something to her husband, who chuckled. I pretended not to notice. Lily and Sam came running to hug me. and I held them tight. Grandpa's got something for you too, I said, handing them the gifts. Their eyes sparkled with joy, and that moment warmed my heart. But Emily's expression was cold. She whispered to Michael, "You really should have told him." I frowned. "Told me what?" Michael sighed and looked down. "It's nothing, Dad. Just some last-minute changes to the trip." I didn't press it. I left after a few minutes, though the laughter resumed behind me the moment I stepped out. That night, I couldn't sleep. Something told me something wasn't right. Days passed, and no one called me. Then, on the night before our departure, my phone buzzed. It was that message. The message that shattered me. "You won't be joining us, Dad. Mom prefers to keep only her family." I read it again and again. My breath grew shallow. After all I'd done, after paying for everything, they were excluding me. I sat alone for hours, staring at my old wedding photo, wondering where I went wrong. My wife had left me for another man years ago, and I had raised Michael alone. I worked 2 jobs to keep him in school. I missed birthdays, skipped meals, and even sold my old car so he could go to college. And now, the woman he married had the power to push me out like I was nothing. I couldn't believe it. But then, I realized something. I still controlled the bookings. Everything had been made under my name, my account, my card, my email. The next morning, before the sun rose, I sat at my desk, opened my laptop, and logged into the travel agency. My hand hovered over the mouse. Part of me hesitated. Was this too petty? Would it make me just as cruel as they were? Then I remembered that message. Mom prefers to keep only her family. I clicked cancel all. My hand didn't shake this time. But just as I finished, my phone buzzed again. It was another message. This time not from Michael, but from someone I never expected. It was from Emily's father. And what he said made my blood run cold. The message on my screen made my stomach twist. It read, "George, I know what you did. You'll regret this." For a moment, I just stared at it, not sure what to think. How did Emily's father even know I canceled the trip? It had only been a few minutes since I froze the bookings. My heart started to race. I typed back slowly. "Excuse me?" But before I could press send, another message popped up. "You've embarrassed yourself enough. Don't contact my daughter or her family again." I dropped my phone on the table. My hands were trembling. I wasn't sure if I was angry, sad, or scared. Embarrassed? I paid for that trip. How could they twist everything to make it look like I was the villain? I took a deep breath and sat back down. My small living room suddenly felt colder. The old clock ticked loudly, reminding me how quiet the house was. I was alone again. Just me, my memories, and the ghosts of my sacrifices. I tried to calm myself. "You did the right thing," I whispered. "They needed to learn." But deep down, a part of me wondered if I'd made a mistake. What if Michael was angry? What if the kids blamed me? Just then the phone rang. It was Michael. I answered quickly. "Michael. Dad, what did you do?" His voice was sharp, filled with panic and anger. All our tickets are canceled. The hotel too. Emily's parents are furious." "What were you thinking?" "I was thinking," I said, trying to stay calm, "that a man shouldn't be disrespected by his own family. You texted me, Michael. You told me I wasn't coming." "That wasn't me," he said quickly. "It was Emily. She said it was better if we had space as a family." "And you agreed?" I asked softly. There was silence on the other end. "Michael," I said, my voice breaking, "I raised you. Alone. I gave up everything for you. And you let someone decide I'm not family." He didn't respond. I heard him breathing, then whispering. Maybe Emily was beside him. Finally, he said, "You didn't have to cancel the whole thing, Dad. That's petty." "Petty?" I snapped. "I paid for it. I worked myself sick for that trip. And your wife told me I wasn't welcome. You think I should have just smiled and waved goodbye as you all flew off to enjoy my money? Dad, you don't understand." "I understand perfectly," I said, my voice trembling. "I'm not angry at you for choosing your wife. I'm angry that you forgot who stood by you when no one else did." Before he could reply, I ended the call. My eyes burned with tears I refused to let fall. I stood up and walked to the window. Outside, the sky was cloudy, heavy, like it shared my sadness. I thought about little Lily and Sam. How excited they were when I told them about the trip. They didn't deserve this. But their parents had crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed. Still, guilt began to creep in. I wondered if I had gone too far. That evening, I made myself some tea, but I could barely drink it. Every sip felt bitter. My mind was filled with thoughts. Of Michael, of Emily, of those sweet grandkids who'd be heartbroken. Then around 7 p.m., there was a loud knock on my door. At first I ignored it. I didn't want to see anyone. But the knocking continued. Harder this time. I sighed and opened the door. Emily stood there, her face red with anger. Behind her was her father, tall and serious, his eyes cold like stone. "Mr. Carter," Emily snapped. "You had no right to cancel our trip." "Our trip?" I repeated slowly. "You mean my trip? I paid for everything." "You did it for the family," she said, folding her arms. "And since you're part of that family, you shouldn't act like a child when you don't get your way." "Part of the family?" I said, bitterly laughing. "You're the one who told your husband I wasn't coming." She looked away for a second, but quickly regained her attitude. "You misunderstood. It was just supposed to be an immediate family trip. No offense." "No offense," I whispered, my hands shaking. "You call that no offense?" Her father stepped forward. "George, you're being dramatic. We offered to include you in another plan next year. This tantrum of yours just ruined a nice family vacation." "Tantrum?" I repeated, raising my voice. "I built that family. I worked every day for years so my son could have the life you now take for granted." Emily's father pointed a finger at me. "You're lonely, George. That's your problem. You want control because you have nothing else." His words hit me like a hammer. I froze. For a second, I couldn't breathe. Lonely? Maybe he was right. Maybe that was why it hurt so much. But before I could say another word, Michael's car pulled up. He stepped out, his face tired and tense. "Dad, Emily, please stop. This isn't helping." The rain was falling hard when I reached Michael's house. Their car was still there, the headlights dim. I could see shadows moving inside. I stepped out into the rain, letting it soak through my shirt. I knocked on the door, once, twice. No answer. Then I heard movement. Michael opened the door halfway, his face pale and tired. "Dad," he sighed. "It's late. I need to talk to you," I said firmly. "Just for a minute." He hesitated but stepped aside. "Make it quick." Inside, I saw the kids on the couch. Lily was asleep, her little head resting on Sam's lap. Emily stood nearby, arms crossed, eyes like daggers. "I got your message," I said quietly, looking at her. She smirked. "Good. Maybe you'll understand what you've done now." "What I've done?" I said, my voice rising. "You're the one who told me I wasn't part of the family. You're the one who made my son send that text." Michael stepped between us. "Stop, both of you. The kids can hear." I took a deep breath. "Michael, you need to listen to me. I didn't mean to hurt anyone. I just couldn't stand being treated like I didn't matter." He rubbed his temples. "Dad, this isn't the time." "No, son," I said, my voice shaking. "It's exactly the time. You've forgotten who raised you, who taught you right from wrong. You let someone push me aside like I'm a stranger." Emily interrupted sharply. "Maybe if you learn to stay out of our marriage." I turned to her, my patience gone. Stay out? I was never in it. I just wanted to spend time with my grandchildren. That's all. Her face twisted in anger. "Well, now you've made sure that won't happen anytime soon." For a long moment, the room was silent except for the sound of the rain outside. Then Lily stirred on the couch, opening her sleepy eyes. "Grandpa," she whispered, "are you coming to the beach with us tomorrow?" My throat tightened. I wanted to tell her yes, but I couldn't. Emily quickly spoke before I could answer. "No. Iswati. Grandpa's not coming." Lily frowned. "But he paid for it." Michael looked away. Emily's face flushed with embarrassment. That was the moment I realized something. My granddaughter, barely 7 years old, had more honesty in her heart than all the adults in that room. I bent down beside her, brushing her hair gently. Maybe not this time, my love, I said softly. But we'll have our own beach day soon, just you and me. She smiled faintly, then fell back asleep. I stood up and looked at my son one last time. I'll go now, I said quietly. But one day you'll understand. I walked out into the rain again. I didn't look back. That night, I sat awake till dawn. The sound of thunder rolled through the sky, echoing how I felt inside. I thought about everything, the love, the betrayal, the pain. But I also thought about something else, respect. Sometimes, you have to lose everything to remind people what they took for granted. I decided that morning that I would start over. I wouldn't beg to belong in a place I was pushed out of. I would live for myself, and for the two little souls who still loved me without condition. 3 weeks passed before I heard from Michael again. He showed up at my door one evening, looking thin and tired. I opened the door and stared at him silently. Dad, he said, voice low. We need to talk. I stepped aside, letting him in. He sat down heavily on the couch. You were right, he said after a pause. About everything. I frowned. What do you mean? He sighed deeply. After you canceled the trip, Emily's parents blamed me. They said I was useless. Emily and I fought for days. Things got ugly. And then she left. She took the kids to her parents' place. I sat there in silence, stunned. I'm sorry, Dad, he whispered. I should have defended you. I let her disrespect you. I let her control everything. You were only trying to keep the family together, and I destroyed it. I didn't say anything for a long time. My chest ached for him, but I also felt something else, relief. Maybe finally he understood. I placed my hand on his shoulder. Son, I said gently. Families fall apart when respect leaves the table. I never wanted revenge. I just wanted you to see what happens when you let pride and influence come before love. He nodded, tears filling his eyes. I see it now. And I'll make it right. Then, for the first time in months, he hugged me. Tight. Like the little boy I used to carry on my shoulders. And that's when I knew. Some wounds heal not with anger, but with realization. But just when I thought peace had finally returned, my phone rang again. It was an unknown number. I hesitated before answering. A man's voice came through, cold and angry. Mr. Carter, this is the police. We need to speak with you immediately. It's about Emily. My heart skipped a beat. I froze where I stood. My hand tightened around the phone. The police? I repeated, my voice shaky. What happened? The officer paused for a moment, then said, Sir, it's regarding an incident that occurred this morning. We'd prefer to discuss it in person. Are you available to come down to the station? I glanced at Michael. He looked confused. Who is it, Dad? It's the police, I murmured. Something about Emily. Michael's face drained of color. Emily? What about her? I turned back to the phone. Yes, I'll come, I said quickly. When we arrived at the station, the air felt heavy, thick with tension. An officer led us into a small room and closed the door. A young detective sat across from us, flipping through a folder. Mr. Carter, he began, we understand there's been some conflict between your family members recently, involving a canceled vacation trip? I nodded slowly. Yes, that's true. He sighed, rubbing his temples. Earlier today, Mrs. Emily Carter was involved in a car accident. She was driving with her parents and your grandchildren. Michael gasped. What? Are they? Everyone's alive, the detective said quickly. But Emily's parents are in critical condition. The children have minor injuries. Emily, she's shaken but stable. Michael slumped in his chair, relief and shock battling on his face. I felt my heart pounding painfully. How did it happen? I asked quietly. They were on their way to the airport, the detective explained. Apparently, Emily was driving fast and lost control. Witnesses say there was an argument in the car right before the crash. Michael buried his face in his hands. Oh God. The detective looked at me. Sir, we also found something interesting. When we checked the car, we discovered a letter on the passenger seat, addressed to you. He slid an envelope across the table. My name, George Carter, was written neatly in Emily's handwriting. My fingers shook as I opened it. Inside was a short note. George, I don't know if you'll ever forgive me. I pushed you away when all you wanted was love. I made Michael turn against you because I thought you judged me. The truth is, I was jealous. Jealous of the bond you two shared. I thought if I kept you out, I'd have more of him. I see now I was wrong. I've lost everything because of my pride. Take care of the kids if I can't. Tell them I'm sorry. Emily. By the time I finished reading, my eyes were wet. I handed the letter to Michael. His hands trembled as he read, tears streaming down his face. Dad, he whispered. What have we done? I placed a hand on his shoulder. No, son. What have we learned? That night, we went to the hospital together. When we entered Emily's room, she looked up weakly, her face pale but conscious. Michael rushed to her side, taking her hand. She turned her head and saw me. Her eyes filled with tears. Mr. Carter, she whispered. I'm sorry. I stepped closer, my voice soft. We've all made mistakes, Emily. What matters is that we learn from them. She nodded weakly, crying quietly. Lily and Sam were asleep in the next room, their small faces peaceful despite everything. I kissed their foreheads and whispered, Grandpa's here. I'm not going anywhere again. As I stood there watching them sleep, I realized something powerful. Sometimes, pain isn't meant to destroy us. It's meant to open our eyes. The vacation never happened, but something far more important did. We became a real family again. One built not on money or pride, but forgiveness. When Emily was finally discharged, things changed. She spoke to me kindly. Michael visited often. The kids came every weekend. We started having dinners together again, not as enemies, but as people who understood how fragile life could be. One evening, as we sat on the porch watching the sunset, Lily climbed onto my lap and said, Grandpa, can we still go to the beach one day? I smiled. Of course, sweetheart. This time we'll all go together. She giggled and hugged me tight. And in that warm hug, I felt peace for the first time in a long, long while. Lesson: never let pride or control destroy the love in your family. Forgive before life forces you to. Sometimes, life doesn't wait to teach us what love and respect truly mean. If this story touched your heart, hit the red heart like button, share it with someone who needs this lesson, and don't forget to subscribe for more powerful family stories like this.